Welcome to the Grow Your Business and Grow Your Wealth podcast with Gary Heldt. Gary is an expert in helping business owners put together a plan that will provide a better future for their businesses, themselves, and their families. On the podcast, Gary interviews other professionals who share his vision, and together they share secrets and strategies any business owner can use to build a better financial foundation for your business and your life.
Welcome back to the podcast. This week, my guest is Tom Hegna. He's the founder and CEO of TomHegna.com. Welcome.
Hey, thanks, Gary.
So, Tom, tell us. You do a lot of many different things. You're an author. You teach seminars, webinars. You counsel people on retirement savings. Tell us how you got started with everything.
All right. Well, I'm originally from a small town in Minnesota. I went to college at North Dakota State University on an Army ROTC scholarship. I was commissioned in the military. I spent 6 years active duty Army, 16 and a half Army Reserve, retired in 2006. I spent 8 years at MetLife. When I first got in the business, I was an agent, a manager, and then eventually national marketing manager for variable life insurance. I then went over to New York Life. I spent 15 years at New York Life. I started out as an annuity wholesaler. I worked my way up to be a senior executive officer in the company. I retired from New York Life in 2011. I've since written 5 books. My 6th and 7th are coming out this year. I've trained over 300,000 financial advisors all over the world, delivered over 5,000 live seminars in all 50 states. And so that's kind of what I do. I train financial advisors, and then they many times hire me to speak to their clients and show them the optimal way to retire. Because right now, if somebody asked a financial advisor how they're supposed to retire or what their portfolio looked like, if they ask 50 different advisors, they're going to get 50 different opinions. Right. But there aren't 50 optimal ways to do it. There's really one optimal way based in math and science. And so I really stick to the math and science of an optimal retirement. And that's what I write about. That's what I speak about.
Right. So, in going through this, you're saying that, hey, I coach and I teach financial advisors, but you also have some public facing webinars and things like that you've done also. Yeah,
and I have a YouTube channel and things, but so a lot of times I do webinars on behalf of companies or advisors. Right. And so I will speak to the clients, I will show them, but I don't sell any financial products. Right. I don't have a horse in the game. I just show them what all the research shows of the leading PhDs around the world. And so then they use me to educate their clients.
Right. Talk some about the books that you've written.
Yeah. So my first book was Paychecks and Playchecks. And that was really based off of a talk I did. I got asked to speak for the $1 Million Roundtable back in 2009 at their top of the table meeting. And then in 2010, I spoke at their big annual meeting. So, these are thousands of the top producers. And the title of my talk was Paychecks and Playchecks. And somebody said, man, you should have a book. So we turned that talk into a book. And it's really the math and science behind a successful retirement. It concludes with 4 very simple steps that anybody can use to improve their retirement. Step 1, you want to cover your basic living expenses in retirement with guaranteed lifetime income. Number 2, you need to optimize the rest of your portfolio to protect yourself against inflation. Number 3, you must have a plan for long-term care. No retirement plan is complete without a plan for long-term care. And step number 4, the most efficient way to pass wealth to children, grandchildren, and charities is with life insurance. I tell people, don't leave your kids any money. You're not supposed to leave them a penny. You're supposed to spend it all. Leave them life insurance because you can do that for pennies on the dollar. So I show people how to get the most for the least in retirement because there's no dress rehearsals. There's no second chance. They got to get it right the first time.
Right. Now, obviously everybody, you are talking about death when you talk about the life insurance and things like that. And that always seems to be the subject that people don't want to talk about, even though it's inevitable. It's going to happen. Death and taxes. Yeah. So, how do you kind of get around, that subject where people feel more comfortable with it?
Well, I think it's the job of a financial advisor to make the people feel uncomfortable. Am I protecting a client if they have a wife and 3 children and they have no life insurance and I don't like punch them in the nose for it? I mean,
Right.
come on. This is serious business. Everybody is going to die. We just don't know when. Okay.
Right.
And besides, life insurance has so many living benefits. The annual premium on my whole life policy is $226,000 a year. Now people would say, oh, that's crazy. That's stupid. Yeah. They're thinking life insurance is an expense. I know it's not an expense. It's an asset on my balance sheet, and it's going to provide me, millions of dollars of tax-free income in retirement. And so, I look at it. I look at the whole picture, and what's interesting is Ernst & Young just did a white paper, and they were trying to find what is the best portfolio, like the optimal portfolio. And they tried 100% stock, and then they went 90% stock, 10% bond, and 80, 20, 70, 30, 60, 40, 50, 50. And then they added a whole life policy and an income annuity to each of those portfolios. And the portfolio that did the best had investments, had life insurance, and had annuities. Now, I've known that to be true for over 30 years,
Right.
but it's nice to know now that a major accounting firm has proved it.
Yeah, I think that I feel that, again, from the tax side of things, because that's what I do, I think that there are a ton of benefits with, tax benefits with whole life policies, even term policies upon death and things like that for the beneficiaries, but then also, from an individual, like you're saying, hey, I'm putting this money in each year and it's getting me retirement income later. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, I happen to believe taxes are going to have to go up significantly. We are $31 trillion in debt, climbing at $4 billion every single morning. And that was not that big of a deal when interest rates were 1%. It was $310 billion of interest. At 5%, that's $1.5 trillion of interest. And we know the $31 trillion is going to stay at $31 trillion. If it goes to $50 trillion at 5%, that'll be $2.5 trillion. Our entire defense budget is $800 billion. I mean, come on, it'll ruin the country. And so I know taxes are going to have to go up. They're going to have to go up a lot. And so I'm positioning my portfolio to give me as much tax-free income in retirement as possible. I've converted almost all of my 401ks and IRAs to Roth. And most of those are in income annuities. So that'll be tax-free income for the rest of my life. I've moved a lot of my personal wealth to cash value life insurance. That will give me tax-free income for the rest of my life. And I really feel sorry for a lot of people who have the majority of their wealth in IRAs and 401ks because they think that's their money. I was talking to a guy the other day. He said, I got $1 million in my 401k. I said, great. I said, how much of that is yours? Right. He said, what do you mean? It's all mine. I said, no. You have a partner. And by the way, you're the limited partner. The general partner is the federal government. And they're going to take as much as they want and then leave you whatever's left over. And you have no idea how much they're going to take out of there. And I believe in 5, 10, 15 years, they're going to be taking a lot more than what people are anticipating. And I'm trying to position my assets to protect me from that.
Right. So, during COVID and things like that, I talked to many of our clients about, because their income was down and things going on. Hey, why not look at starting to do some of these Roth conversions and things like that? Now that we're out of that, people's income have gone back up. What are you telling people? I mean, I personally, I think it's still a great idea to keep converting. Yes, I'm going to pay the tax now, but right now we're at a historic low in tax rates. So
I think tax rates are only going to go up. So I'm paying them now. I don't like paying them. I don't like writing those big checks to the federal government, but I do it because in the future they would be bigger checks.
Right. I think that's something that's important for people to see because you just laid it out there with where the debt is and how are we going to ever pay that down. If tax rates don't go up. I mean, we just gave away how many billions of dollars with all the COVID relief that was not taxable.
It was actually trillions. We printed 5 trillion. In fact, 40% of all the money ever printed in this country were printed in the last 2.5 years, 40%. And then on top of that, they spent about 5 trillion on stimmy checks and all this stuff. That's why we're having inflation. Milton Friedman was the top economist ever. And he said, inflation is always and everywhere a monetary event. What does that mean? It means when you print money, it causes inflation. When you spend more money than what you're bringing in, those are the things that cause inflation, and it's pretty simple. When you juice the system with like 10 trillion, 8 or 10 or however many trillion it was in the last 2 or 3 years, yeah, you're going to get massive inflation. And now we're seeing the repercussions of that. One other thing about life insurance. See, one of the reasons people don't fully enjoy their retirements is they think they got to leave their kids some money. And so they go, oh, we got to leave some money to Johnny and Susie. So then they deny themselves a retirement to leave their money to kids. And I say, don't leave your money to your kids. Leave them life insurance. And I use me as an example. We have 4 kids. So one day we're sitting around saying, how much should we leave the kids? My wife said, I don't know. What do you think? I said, well, if we bought a $1 million second die life insurance policy, name the 4 kids beneficiary. When we're both gone, they're going to get $1 million tax free. That's $250,000 a piece tax free plus whatever's left over. I said, let's start there. So we bought a $1 million second die policy, name the 4 kids a beneficiary. That policy is completely paid up. Do you know what the total cost of that $1 million policy was? $150,000. So now think about that. For 15 cents on the dollar, we get to transfer $1 million tax free to our kids. But here's the best part. Who gets to spend the other $850,000? We do. So don't leave kids money, leave them life insurance. Spend your money, leave them life insurance.
Right. Now you're talking about spending that the other piece of it. And just to kind of take a step back so people understand, it's like, okay, you're saying that it cost me $150,000 to get that million. Yep. So I'm not spending $1 million to get $1 million, right? Like you do if you do retirement savings or any other type of investments. You're only spending $150 for your
to leave $1 million. Yeah,
benefit.
That's called leverage, and that's positive leverage. That is leverage in your favor, and that's what life insurance is. It's dollars for pennies. You buy dollars for pennies. If somebody said, "Well, I'm going to leave my kids $1 million," great, but don't leave them $1 million. Either put the $1 million in life insurance and leave them $15 million, or put $150,000, leave them $1 million. You don't need to leave them that much. Just get the leverage. That's the key thing on life insurance. It gives tremendous leverage.
Now, talking about the whole life insurance and things like that. So if people are stuffing all of their money in there, some of them may say, "Oh, well, what am I going to live off of then?"
Well, I can turn mine on into monthly income. I'm just waiting, till they start raising tax rates. Right now, I'm taking income from other places, but I can flip that switch at any time, and that company is going to send me a check every month for the rest of my life. So, for everybody, it's a little different, but there's a basic formula, that you want to cover your basic living expenses with guaranteed income, and you want to have a plan for inflation. You want to, my next book was Don't Worry, Retire Happy. That was the PBS TV special that played in 80 million homes in the U.S. and Canada, and that just added a few steps like having a plan, working with a financial professional, maximizing your Social Security benefits, a hybrid retirement. That's what I'm doing. I didn't go cold turkey in retirement. I'm about 75% retired. I do things like this, but I play golf 4 or 5 days a week. I'm playing every day this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So, and then using your home equity wisely. Those were some things that were added into the Don't Worry, Retire Happy book.
Right. Again, you talked about, make sure that you have the financial advisor. I'm constantly preaching about making sure that you pick, the right team to work with, from an attorney, financial advisor, CPA, et cetera. What should somebody do if their financial advisor, when they're meeting with them, isn't really talking about life insurance?
Well, unfortunately, there are a lot of financial advisors, and they call themselves fiduciaries, right? And they have to act in the client's best interest, but they won't use long-term care insurance. They won't use life insurance. They don't believe in annuities. Well, they're not fiduciaries, because you can't not use those products and be in the best interest of your client. It's just impossible. You look at all the research, and so unfortunately, those are some of the advisors. And what I would say is stay away from any advisor who says they only do annuities or only life insurance or they only do investments. No, you want an advisor who's got an open toolbox. If you need annuity, they'll use it. If you want mutual funds, they'll do it. If you need managed money, they'll do it. Life insurance, they're gonna do the entire plan for you. That's what you want. A holistic planner who is a fiduciary and acts in your best interest. You don't want just one of these people who thinks the stock market is the cure for everything. It's not. And seniors need to be very careful of how much money they put in the stock market. I'm not against stock market. I own stocks. I own dividend paying stocks. I own some real estate, but I own it in the right places at the right times. I'm not depending on that income for my retirement, right? So, it just bothers me that there's some advisors that are way over here and some advisors are way over here when the right is right. The right one is you got a toolbox with all these tools in it. It'd be like a plumber saying, I don't believe in wrenches. I do not believe in a hammer and a nail. It'd be stupid. But that's the way some advisors are.
Right. When, you're talking about long-term care, and things, how do you feel about the whole life policies that have the long-term care rider?
Or universal life. Yeah. So there's really three options. And I say any plan is better than no plan. First of all, a traditional long-term care insurance policy is probably going to have the most robust benefits. But if you don't ever need long-term care, all the money you spent there is basically gone. It's the same with car insurance or homeowners insurance. If you don't use it, you lose it type thing. The nice thing about the life insurance is that, and I used to draw three circles when I would explain it. So let's say I was working with let's say there was like a 62-year-old female. She's worried about long-term care. She's got $100,000 down at Bank of America earning 1% in a bank account. I'd say, well, you can move that over to this policy. And here's your $100,000. It's got a full money back guarantee. So if you ever need it, it's there. But if you don't need it and you die, I draw a bigger circle. The death benefit would be roughly $200,000 for this person, tax-free to your family. But what if you need long-term care? I draw a bigger circle. There's a $300,000 bucket of long-term care that if you need it, it's there. And so it does three things. It's an emergency fund, it's a tax-free death benefit to your kids, or it's a long-term care. And that one, I think fits a lot of people really well. And then finally, now there are annuities that offer guaranteed issue some long-term care coverage. So if somebody can't get long-term care insurance, they can't qualify for life insurance, they have a disability, or they got diabetes, or they've had major health problems. Well, they can get leverage from an annuity, and so those would be the things you got to. I don't care which one you do, but you got to have a plan. Otherwise, the government has a plan, and that plan requires you to spend all your money down until you're in poverty, and then you go on welfare. They call it Medicaid. And if you've ever been to a Medicaid facility, if you've never been there, that's my homework assignment for you. Yeah. Find a Medicaid facility. Just walk in the door and take a whiff, and just see if that's where you want to spend the rest of your life. That's not where I want to spend the rest of my life.
Right. I think the annuity piece with the long-term care on it is something that a lot of people don't know about, especially, if you're looking, hey, I can't qualify for whatever the various reasons could be. I think that's something that's important, and to make sure that whoever you have as an advisor understands those and has those available, like you said, in their toolbox.
And I think the number is 40 million Americans that have a disability. And think about them. They're thinking, well, I can't ever get any long-term care coverage. Well, yes, they can through that annuity. They can. It is a guaranteed issue product. So I just think there are more tools out there than what advisors really know about, and certainly more than what consumers know about. That's why they have to work with an advisor. I work with financial advisors. Now, I could do all this. I know this stuff, but you want to know what? I need somebody to sort through the thousands of products out there. I don't have time to go digging through thousands of annuities, thousands of life insurance to find the best one for me. And people don't realize if you're a 85-year-old female, that the annuity that's best for you could be very different than a 55-year-old male. And so, it depends on your age, depends on your sex, depends on your health, depends on what you want. Do you want it to grow? Do you want income? Do you want increasing income? And that's why you need a financial professional. I tell people, you don't do your own dental work in your garage with your drill set. And I don't think you ought to be doing your own retirement planning either.
Right. I definitely agree with that. What are some of the, besides not planning, what are some of the mistakes that you're seeing people make?
I think they underestimate their life expectancy. They think they're going to die sooner than what they are. They don't realize that life expectancy today for a 65-year-old couple is age 93. There's a 50% chance one of them will live to be age 93. There's a 25% chance one of them will live to be 97. And I don't think people realize that. And they take their Social Security too early, and they never get the most Social Security that they could. They underestimate their life expectancy. They don't have a plan for long-term care. They don't use life insurance for their kids. They have too much money in the stock market. I can just go on and on. These are the mistakes that I see.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think with talking with my clients, many of them are like, oh, I'm going to start drawing my Social Security at 62. And, they don't understand all the rules, and that if they're still working,
Right.
that they may end up hurting themselves by taking it early, besides, the tax, but everything else. But the taking and waiting until they're 70 and how much more it grows, I think a lot of them don't understand that.
Yeah, it's almost double. It's almost double if you wait to 70. And for some people, it will be double because now there's higher cost of living adjustments that we didn't have over the past 10 years. So
Right.
what I say is the breadwinner should delay. So if you got a husband and wife, whoever made the most money, that person should delay because that check covers both lives. The other one can take it early if they want to. I don't have a problem with that. But if let's say the husband made more money, if he takes it early, he now locked her into a lower survivor benefit. So you got, and then the people who say, well, but I got bad health. Yeah, but she doesn't have bad health. And you got to look at the health of the couple, not just the health of the person. He said, well, I paid in Social Security. I want my money. Yeah, well, you got to think of your spouse's long-term benefits as well. So, I just want people to think about it and not just go down to Waffle House and the Waffle House wise men sit around the counter, tell them to take it at 62. They go, yeah, I better listen to those boys. Yeah, I'm going to listen to them. No, you shouldn't listen to them. You should meet with a financial professional, have them run a Social Security calculator, show you what your benefits are long term if you take it early, show you what it is if you live, and then make an educated decision, not a Waffle House decision.
Right. Again, keeps going back to make sure you have that professional, in your arsenal to be able to make sure you're making the right decisions, or at least giving you the information to make the right decisions.
Yep.
So what have I not asked you that you wish I had?
Well, I think just another thing that I would throw out there is that the research now shows that when you have guaranteed lifetime income, whether that's through Social Security, pension, or annuities, you're happier. The people who have assets are miserable. The people with guaranteed income are happier. And you've seen that with your clients, the retired teachers, firefighters, policemen, they're happier. They go play golf. They don't worry about the market, their stress level. But now the research shows they live longer as well. And so, if people, because right now people are stressed, they're worried about the market, they're worried about the economy, they're worried about banks failing, and all that stress causes them to live a shorter life. Plus, when you're being paid to live, guess what? Many people live differently. They watch what they eat, they exercise, they call the doctor when not feeling well. So guaranteed lifetime income improves your portfolio performance. That is a fact. It will likely make you happier, and it will likely allow you to live longer. So I don't know why people don't, give it more respect.
Right. I appreciate that. So, Tom, if people like what they're hearing here, even if they're not, they're just a consumer, how can they see some of your webinars and things like that you've done?
So I have multiple free webinars at tomhegna.com/webinars. I've got for young people, I show them how to become a millionaire. For older people, I show them how to retire optimally. There's one on life insurance. There's one on how I can do client-facing webinars for advisors. There's all, so that's all there. I have a YouTube channel. You go to YouTube, just type in Tom Hegna. I got a whole channel. And then my website, tomhegna.com.
Great. And then on Amazon are all your books.
Oh, yeah.
And definitely worth the read. So I appreciate your time today, Tom. I mean, I think that you've given us a lot of wisdom for things for people to think about, and everybody really needs to get back out with their advisor and sit down and talk about this stuff and start to create that plan, because like you said, tax rates are going up, and really need to hedge your bet on that.
Yep. So, well, thank you, Gary.
Thanks a lot for your time. This week, our guest was Tom Hegna with tomhegna.com. I'll see you guys next week.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.